Да, работает все. And we're supposed to go live. And I hope we're live because I'm doing all these shenanigans with my hands just to make sure that everything is working fine on my side. Hello, welcome to live streams. Today is Wednesday, and welcome to Crossing the Streams, where two boys explaining some of the things about stream processing, about programming, and Sergei, you actually live. We should be able to see you people should be able to see it. So, folks, as always, let's try to spend the few 10, 15, 20 minutes to trying to figure out sound and to make sure that hey, Gamarjobo Otto, the Otto from Georgia, not from Georgia state, but I'm from Georgia country. So,
oh, nice.
yeah, it's very great to see some of the regulars who showing up like very regularly. Thank you so much for being a part of live streams. Hey, so folks, write down in the comments if you hear us well, if you see us well, quality is great, and also if you are doing this on some modern browser, maybe, I don't know, like a Google Chrome, maybe, you should be able to see it on 1440p. Not the 4K. I realize that my computer not that powerful as Sergei's computer, but Sergei computer has a supercomputer these days. Like it doesn't have any fans. It's not loud. So
oh, there are some fans. Just it's really hard to make them start spinning.
Так. Great. I want to check something on the other side. Everything is good. No problem. That is surprising because either we finally nailed it from the first time
No
and
way.
we're becoming professionals, or definitely something is like there's some hidden like phantom menace. So we don't know. So, folks, the most important thing, we want to test if this the synchronization of our lips in our words are working fine. Sergei, let's try and see.
Well, I guess it's important to clarify that when you're saying synchronization of our lips, meaning that like it's not my lips synchronized to Viktor's, but rather my lips synchronized with my sound, and the same applies to Viktor.
Wow,
I just had to
actually
say
it
something
works
stupid
pretty
and I
well.
did.
I just checked on my side. I just checked on my side. It actually works pretty well. So I think
Finally.
it's worth mentioning that we can actually do like some special episode where we can talk about this live streaming setup, like how we can do live streams with the good quality. Like then I'm excited. I don't know, guys. I'm excited. I feel great about this. So it's great to be back. It's great to be here. Many of you have seen us being busy. Sergei was busy with test containers and supporting these new shiny M1 ARM computers. And Sergei will update us on the test container support very soon. I was busy presenting some of the live streams on the Confluent YouTube channel. If you haven't seen this, I did some Kubernetes stuff. Sergei, as a matter of fact, I'm actually getting better on live coding, and I'm doing the less and less errors these days. So I think live streams definitely help with this endeavor. So.
That's really cool. So less and less YAML indentation errors?
Less and less, but speaking about which was like a funny thing that happened with me last week. I did the webinar, or how they call it, not the webinar per se. It was. We also did live stream. So we did the live stream on the JetBrains channel and on JetBrains channel, yeah, with Anton. And they're using this very cool platform called StreamYard or something like that. It actually works very well.
Oh, yeah.
It works through browser, and it just like works great. And I actually failed miserably with some YAML errors there. So not entirely, but it was a Spring Cloud stream, And
Mhm.
as you might know, there's like a configuration is rather complicated. You can use property
Mhm.
files, but with property files, you need to repeat yourself like multiple times. YAML fits very well there in terms of configuration, but like you need to be
Yep.
very, very careful about indentation and all this kind of stuff.
Okay. It seems that we do have some technical issues because Artem saying, "Hey, Artem," by the way, but he says that he hears you from his left headset and myself from his right headset.
Um,
It's not how it's supposed to be.
I think it's okay. Like, I think it
Oh,
happens.
really?
I know that it's because. Say something, Sergey.
Okay, let me. Okay, and there's a question: what is Java book behind me? It's the elements of Java style. It's actually some random book. I did not read it. I just I just got it from a book box. Because in Berlin there is a thing like when people when they don't you know when they don't need books anymore, instead of just selling them or trashing, they put them in a box next to their entrance, and then everyone who is passing by, they can just grab a book from this book box, and yeah, it's for free. And I was passing by one of such boxes, and I spotted this Java, like big Java thing, and I checked. And the good thing is that this book is like it's super old, and someone have mentioned that this book was advocating double locking, I think, which is in a good style, I suppose. But this book is by Rogue Wave, and that's the company who acquired Zero to Round, the company where I used to work. So it's just some, yeah, funny
some
combination
uh,
of.
some some history behind this, right? Some history. All right. So now I just try to mix and match. Artyom, check on your side, and folks, check if you're watching and listening us in headsets. Now we should go like full blown stereo. I fixed this on my side. This is
But let's
incredible.
hope
I
that's not
mean,
the
this is
case.
incredible. Like I feel myself as a kind of true streamer. You see the background and all this like
Oh,
ah,
I thought you were talking about technical issues.
yeah. I mean, and I am a producer. I am a sound engineer. I am the video engineer. I'm the gaffer who set up lights. Speaking of which, where's my light? By my, or it's okay. Like my, yeah, that's I think it's fine. Like usually I also have another light to let me here, and yeah, my lights are here. It's great. So yeah, Artyom, let us know in the comment if we fix this. Now
Seems
it
to be
works perfect.
working.
Fantastic. Like I feel so, what's the word? Empowered.
You're clicking some buttons and you're
No,
making
no,
things
it definitely
work.
was not your. Okay, so if you're interested in some gory details, we can. I can like update. So here's the thing: the way how we test. Sorry, can I talk about this a little bit? Because I think it's exciting.
Sure, go ahead.
We finally managed to get rid of this like awful setup that involves Skype, because Skype was terribly just like the butchering Sergei's beautiful voice. There's the picture problems. Skype worked 5 years ago when we were doing podcasting, right? We were doing podcasting, we were starting, but for that time, well, not more years, not 7 or 8 years. But over the time, things have changed significantly. So also spoke with some of the Russian podcasting gurus, Umputun. Some people know him as Umputun. He's running like one of the probably the best, the just general IT podcast called Radio T. And I also learning a lot of stuff from him in terms of like sound, in terms of like some hardware tweaks. And he recommended me this new service called either Clear Sound or something like that. We can try this one, but today we're not using anything like this. We're using everything. Oh, it says even streams in 4K. All right.
Wow.
That's great. That's great to hear. So I will watch this afterwards on my 4K TV. That would be that would be great. All right, Sergey. Do we have some traditional tweets that we want to observe, that we want to discuss? So
Well, we have a couple because last time we did a stream was 3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's partially because of me because I didn't have
So
time
now we see in
to,
your screen, you can open some
participate.
tweets that will be talking about.
Okay, awesome. Then yeah, just short introduction that yeah, it wasn't something like well, we had technical issue week before last week, but also I was really busy with things. So sorry for such a long interval between the episodes. Hopefully we can catch up soon. But yeah, it's been 3 weeks and a lot of things have happened. So I wanted to highlight some of them. And I actually want to start with one of the most exciting things, if you ask me, because of course depends. But I think it's really great that Oleg Dakuka he joined the VMware Project Reactor team, so that now he is part of the team and he'll be working on RSocket and Project Reactor. And he's no longer just an independent contributor, but now we finally can ask him to do things. If you
Yeah.
understand what I mean.
And force you to do things.
Yes,
Go fix this
yes.
bug, Oleg.
Yes, exactly. I mean, he was delivering very well even before he joined the team, but now he's officially part of us, and it's so great. And today we'll be talking about some RSocket and some things that he created. So yeah, you'll just see how great it is, and make no mistake, this event will only I don't know accelerate everything he was doing. So I'm really looking forward to the result of him joining the team. And yeah, find time congratulating Oleg because it's also a big thing for him, like joining VMware. Speaking of reactive, I think we already mentioned Trustin Lee a few times before, but it's just so cool that he joins the Reactive Foundation. So Reactive Foundation, some of you, especially the regulars, you already know what I'm talking about, but it's a foundation for all things reactive by Lightband, by VMware, and many other companies actually, and the list is growing. And one thing is being part of the committee of Reactive Foundation, but another thing is just participating as advisory council. And I'm actually one of the advisory councils at the foundation. So it's not like I'm making any decisions, but at least I can, just share some of my opinions about the things that
Do
are
you have
going on.
a veto rule like the
No, not at all.
you can say, okay, so I'm strongly against this, and you cannot do this, and just go. No.
I don't even think there is any better possibility at Reactive Foundation. Maybe by some founding companies. Although I'm really not sure because all these Linux-based, like Linux Foundation-based foundations, be it CNCF or Reactive Foundation and
Mm-hmm.
others, they really encourage the community decisions. So it's not like one man or woman making a decision, but rather a community agreeing on something. And there's always a voting process that something has to go through the voting process before the decision is made. Um, Meaning that most probably there is no veto or whatsoever. Um, but yeah, now we have Trustin, who also became a Java champion, by the way. So yeah, a good month for Trustin and also for us, be it the Reactive Foundation community or Java champions community.
This is awesome.
By the way, this thing, Armeria, one of the projects he's famous for, I mean, obviously NateT, because he created NateT, is the most popular, but Armeria is also a very interesting project. We should definitely make an episode about Armeria one day, one episode, because, yeah, it's actually a very interesting one. Have you tried it?
Not yet. I heard that there's some people when I was asking Twitter around about stuff, and the people saying that um, there's like you should try this because it has like cool things around like multiplexing multiple protocols on top of one transport, so that has already built in RSocket. So it's kind of like the project is focused on like productivity, right? The rather than it just like includes multiple things in terms of like code generation and stuff. So I heard about this.
Yeah. They also have this, so yeah, multiplexing of protocols is one thing. Like you can run gRPC and webflogs on the same port, which is great. I really hope they can add RSocket support so that we can just expose one port and then communicate over the same port for multiple protocols. But they also have a really cool RPC interface, like UI, so that if you have, let's say, gRPC exposed, and then you want to test some of the endpoints from, I don't know, from your browser, you just navigate to the UI, and yeah, it's really cool. Do check it out. So the next thing, I kind of I have like, I understand this tweet partially, but as you already like you made a spoiler that I received a new laptop. So I did received my M1 based MacBook, and it's actually a really nice machine. Like I really like it, and so far the experience was really good, like really good. The only thing that is slow is IntelliJ,
Which is
probably
given.
because it's yeah. So I really hope they can support Metal API for rendering and M1 processor so that it's not running through Rosetta. But it's really not the experience I expected from any application on this machine, because everything else is extremely fast. Like you may have seen this tweets saying that these new laptops are faster than any other laptop from Apple, and it's indeed the case. And I got machine with 16 gigs. So yeah, some folks are saying that my video is lagging, but sounds good.
So
Please
let's see
let
if
me know if the lag is consistent or not, by the way.
that's a good point. Let's see if we will change this into two faces, and those faces are also like video lagging, because it might be. Yeah, I also see like your video is lagging on my side. Maybe it's just on my side because the stream is building on my side.
Okay.
But people saying that the sound is good, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the
okay, we'll figure out.
screen capture is slightly different from the face capturing. Like, okay, let me see if I will show only Sergei, and Sergei will try to say something. Yeah, I see some lag, and I have this suspicion that might be just Google Chrome. So we're running this through some of the things, and unfortunately I cannot kill those. I would kill those tabs but Sergei needs to see my screen as well. That's because both videos are lagging. So I think that's what's happening. So with the this thing called the WebRTC is over time just buffered somewhere in on my computer, and now it's like I start causing. So let me try to, as always, kill some tabs. Maybe some of the tabs are actually mining Bitcoins. And the reason why I'm keep talking, so it also will allows us to figure out these problems afterwards. So I can go and watch the stream myself and see what kind of problems we had during this one. Because, like, for example, in the very beginning, everything was just great. But another thing might be here is that, okay, that's funny. So people saying there's a video problem, but there's no sound. Previously, like last time, we had the opposite situation. We had a problem with sound, but no problem with videos whatsoever. So probably because I started my IntelliJ,
Yeah.
and it's just like hogging my processor. So this is why it's difficult to do the multiple things on the same machine. I think I need to still come up with some hardware streaming solution, maybe even with this like M1 Mac Mini.
Mac Mini?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually a nice idea. I mean, it should be pretty fast encoding this stuff. I mean, I don't think they will have something like hardware encoder because
We do.
they would
So
need to support.
all the Apple computers starting from 2016 or 2015, they equipped with the Intel-based. If there was Intel-based, they equipped with the hardware H.264 encoder. So when you use, I'm not saying approved, but like when you use the like, Apple codecs and Apple APIs to do encoding, those work great. They work great, and they use a lot of like hardware. And like for the record, my second guess why it's supposed to be two faces. I forget to switch because I'm also talking. Let's see. This is working. Is it working? Is it working? So switching. Maybe there was a mistake to run IntelliJ. So we need to reconsider like a live coding setup with this case. So we found we were able to have a good setup for video and audio. Now we need to figure out a good setup for live coding. And you know what? Speaking about live coding, so I recently started getting some like a weird problem with Gradle. So my Gradle wrapper or Gradle daemon rather just hangs, and like only stuff that I need to kill, just go and kill it. That only fix it. I don't know why is it happening. So so folks, let us know if it just like yeah, sometimes just freezes. Oh snap! That's bad when it freezes. So I see my CPU is actually spiking, and I think that's the attributed to IntelliJ. So I'm pretty sure that's the beast that beats everything. So let's see if I was able to finish this. But like, anyways, we will we'll figure out. I do have a like we still can switch from these open source tools to some proprietary tools. Still, my eCam that I use in other streams, eCam actually works fine with the screen and switching. And we also tried to add the. Remember, Sergei, we tried this last time. I added you as a guest. I wasn't sure how we can do this with. I have an idea. I have another idea, crazy idea that will require some time to implement. That will involve some of the like hardware streaming and hardware encoding. That will not include my computer to do stuff.
Fancy.
Yeah. So I do have this box, like a IT Mini here on my desk, but only thing that I use it for is just for like a fancy switching of the cameras. And yeah, I see stream is lagging. I apologize for that. Just like I'm waiting for IntelliJ to stop indexing, because otherwise we will not have some of good live coding and stuff. Laptop batteries. It's a good point. It was a running joke on the recent conference where one of the speakers ran out of the juice when he was presenting. That was fun. Yeah, Artyom is right. So my battery right now on 7%, because I connected. Yeah, but it's charging. So it's connected through the charger. It's charging but slow. So I think this may be also somehow the laptop is fooling around. It's just like throttling some CPU for yeah, but it's like looks like the stream is almost unusable. Sorry, folks. Let me see. On my side, yeah, it freezes. Fuck.
So yeah, as you can see, we are not there yet. And I guess before we start sharing our experiences, we should reach a point where our experiences are great.
And at least we do have a stable config for some reasons.
Imagine doing an episode about like how to stream like a pro and having such issues. Like, oh shit, like I cannot hear you, and now we have lip desync and stuff like this. But you should do it like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, that's I think should be better now. It should be better, hopefully.
Oh, this is better on my end, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's IntelliJ. It's IntelliJ is doing some weird stuff. Let me do this one once again. Oh snap! On my side. It's funny. So it sounds like a podcast. So sound is going through without any problems, but the video is frozen on multiple places.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you go, sound is crystal clear. That I would say that's
Which is good.
This is great. Like at least you know that you're not totally we're not totally like another thing.
And
I do have a Slack
that's the very first.
running. Let me kill the Slack.
Kill it. But that's the very first lesson you should learn about streaming. Make your sound great. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So it was stable. Yeah, it was stable. It was stable, but now it's not. So that's terrible. That's terrible. Voice is okay though. Okay. Let me kill Zoom.
Maybe we can, Viktor. Maybe we can just continue reviewing some of the tweets, and you'll be doing, this magic. Oh, you will do this magic in the background.
Do it.
And once I'm done, I hope that you'll be ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Just let me know when
I
everyone
think
can
you're
see my
supposed to
screen.
be live. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So where we were? Oh yeah, we were talking about this shiny new laptops. And yeah, I'm not even getting paid for that. Like I'm just saying how great the laptop is, and I'm not getting anything from Apple. But yeah, just wanted to share that if you're considering, then I went ahead and bought one, and I'm really satisfied with the result, except IntelliJ. And some of you may know that I'm not always positive about IntelliJ. I'm not talking positive about IntelliJ, but that's really not the case. But still, the experience with IntelliJ isn't great. And I know that some of the folks were also complaining, like the good folks at Netflix say they had some issues with some JNI libraries. So apparently it didn't work for them for some reason. I guess Rosetta isn't that magical, and like that's one of the things that I had. Like when I wanted to install Homebrew, I actually had to install it under terminal running in Rosetta mode, x86 simulation, so that the installation could continue. And when I attempted to install it on the regular terminal with basically with M1 Apple Silicon, then I got an error message like it's not possible to install Homebrew itself, not any package, but the Homebrew itself on M1 yet. So
But
the
Homebrew,
ecosystem is growing.
it's a Ruby app, right? So it should work.
Yeah, that's this is why I got surprised, like really surprised, because I thought that Homebrew itself would install just fine, but then I would have issues installing some of the packages because there is also a running table of compatibility of various packages. But apparently, you cannot even install the Homebrew itself, but you can do it in Rosetta mode. So I just installed it in Rosetta and then installed my regular packages like NCDU HTOP 3, curl VJet, double get, Maven, Gradle, and others, just from the Rosetta session. So it's still possible, just I guess I'm not getting the most out of these binaries.
So I think I need to one of the solution would be not run IntelliJ. So because I think apparently IntelliJ just I don't know, if, folks, if you've seen this, but I think our video should be a little bit better. So I was wondering if I would do this, is it also recording this automatically on my side? If I would just like upload this video afterwards as a backup. So I'm not sure if I have this option on my OBS. I should have started recording like together with streaming. So in this case, it will create a backup locally. So I need to do this last time. Well, so in this case, yeah. I feel like your video is a little bit better right now because I killed IntelliJ. So in this case, we will be using a VS Code or something like that to do some code review. So let's talk about this one. Let's see if it will work actually. So let me know, folks. Let me know if the video is a little bit better right now or it's still crap. Let's see. So I did the live stream last week. I talked about the Kubernetes and stuff, and it was pretty cool. Because I was able to interact with people, and I was able to release new version of CP Helm charts in front of. In front of the audience, yeah, and it didn't suck, and the overall experience was just like great. We will investigate some of the Kafka issues. Actually, I break one thing. With YAML, as a matter of fact, and let be the right choice of the words. Okay, it's something I do. I think there's some of the lag in our Slack as well. So let's try this. I want to show you something, Sergei. If you see my screen, can you see my screen right now?
I can just make sure that the viewers can also see it.
So let's see if I will be able to switch it. View appearance. Where is it? They removed presentation mode. Snap. There was a presentation mode in the VS Code. Yeah, there was the same repo. So what I was showing last time, or like at least a video is back. Okay, great. It's a freaking IntelliJ. It's this stuff needs some work. So in some of the let me just increase this one. Would you like to import them? No, I don't want language support later. So I'm not gonna do this. So I do have this application that essentially my Kafka Streams application. And this application is relatively simple. I start using this as a just example how you can build around a lot of things around this concept. And the concept is simple. The concept is the materialized view. So I do have some data in my Kafka topic, and I'm just using this K-table concept from Kafka Streams to build my materialized view. That's it. Just simple as that. Now, what else I want to do with this materialized view is also expose it as my application as API server. So imagine the situation when some people will tell you, oh, you know what? New York Times uses Kafka as their database, and they store all the data inside the Kafka forever. But they didn't tell you that they actually have each application. They actually did tell you, but you didn't listen. Actually, every application will able to create their own a view to things based on their needs. Like if they need to build, I need to make a font bigger a little bit, I guess, so the people would see it in this. Yeah, so apparently, I'm checking this live stream in the YouTube, and what I see is it's actually shows very well. So I think IntelliJ is killing us. IntelliJ is just like, yeah, is killing us with performance. Now, so I was thinking, okay, so Kafka Streams has interesting capabilities called interactive queries, which is essentially small bit of metadata that each like service package, when the rebalance happen or when the new application will join the group. So all these things will add some additional metadata that would say, okay, there is a state store, and we will add location where particular partitions from the same state store are stored. Meaning that if you have a little bit idea about, oh, I'm sorry, okay, yeah, fix my color. Some of the things, you look in this on GitHub, Sergei, but you will not find this there. I didn't push it. I didn't push it yet. That's why it's still in my somewhere like November temp directory. So idea.
Quick hint: if you're doing your stream with someone, don't forget that he has access to your screen. So apparently I was just trying to sneakily find the sources, and I did not realize that Viktor is overlooking everything I'm doing. So yeah, don't try to chat behind his back,
yeah,
or don't try to do things
on the very on a very small moment, I thought Sergei is checking GitHub issues and closing some bugs and saying, but so yeah, the idea is this materialized view is not stored inside the Kafka. You see, I do the table, and I'm not sending this back to Kafka. So I'm not changing this view to stream and back to topic. So my application holds this materialized view, and only my application will have access to it. In order for me to expose this access to outside world is to use this interactive query service, and the way how it looks like. There's plenty examples like this in the internet when you're using REST, and it's a relatively simple thing to do. Let me show you how does it look like. We will go in some of the details about how this interactive query service works, but essentially there is a metadata service. It's my class that would be instantiated as a Spring Bean, and the Kafka Streams instance would be injected here during this instantiation. And only things when I need to get the information about certain state stores that will include my materialized view, this information will be available for me through this class. Essentially, I can do things like it's just like metadata. Where's my actual application? An API should look something like this. So this is a REST controller. This is the simple example that stuff is working on my side. And API like this. So I have this Kafka Streams instance, which holds instance of my Kafka Streams topology. There's a method store that, based on particular store type, it will return this to me like my order state store. So in this case, I can read every message about every particular product. See, I'm using this pretty awesome library called Java Faker that will just generate some of the e-commerce product there in my Kafka topic. And as a result, I would have this key value call. It's pretty cool. Now, my idea. Now I need to provide the same implementation, but using something more fancy than just the REST. So I start building this with gRPC, and there's a definition of my service that I built. So the way how it looks like, this is my service. First one is has a method that allows me to get particular order based on certain request. It's my business method, the method that I will expose as a public API to anyone else. But in order to my application become not only one instance application that holds this, but we know that Kafka Streams can be scaled and you can run multiple instances of these Kafka Streams, they need to talk to each other. So each instance of my application needs to know a little bit more about themselves. Reason why, Sergei, you can ask this, like, Viktor, why is that? And I can say,
why is that?
imagine a situation when the way how the Kafka Streams works is each partition that you have in Kafka topic will create new tasks. So essentially, there would be task per partition. It reminds probably some of you. It reminds this idea of like a green threads, and it's actually these tasks are green threads in Kafka Streams. So each individual partition will have its own task that will be running instance of this. Let me show you how I can access to history in VS Code. I need to install this
IntelliJ key mapping.
IntelliJ key mapping, exactly.
Yeah, that's the very third thing I install when I set up VS Code on my new machine.
Let's do this order. Anyway, but like I'm here. So this topology will have its instance on each partition. So each task will run its own partition. So each task will have its own state store. When the application would run in distributed mode, some of the tasks would be run in one instance, and some of the tasks will be run in another instance. So in this case, when I try to hit one instance and with particular key request, this instance might not have this data because the task that processing this in the state store that owns this task was migrated to another instance. So in this case, I need to go and hit each individual instance to find where's my key, which is not nice thing to have, right? There should be some sort of like a service discovery. And this is essentially what this metadata service is doing. It provides some of the methods. Where is it? My gRPC, yeah. Provides some of the methods so I can perform this discovery. For example, if any node of my application will receive request for particular key, based on this metadata request, it would know if this application owns this key, because metadata that this application holds has this information, or it requires some additional hook. So in the worst case scenario, it will take you 1+ request to retrieve data from anywhere in your like a Kafka Streams cluster. That makes sense for anyone. And does it make yeah, so this is what I'm explaining exactly, Otto, what was the idea for building gRPC call. So in this case, there's a few APIs. One API is that when my request comes for some key, I would go and interrogate this metadata service. And this metadata service has a name, method called streams metadata for store and key. So I know what kind of store I'm hitting because it would be the part of API. So for example, /orders, it's going to be my order store. And based on the key, I would know where this data is storing from. So there's a Kafka Streams instance that has this method, query metadata for a key, and it gets a key query metadata. So I would be able to serialize it and send it back so my application would know which instance to hit. How it would know and which application to hit, there is a Kafka Streams configuration called application server config. So only this property that needs to be activated enables this interactive query. So meaning that this additional metadata will be passed along with some of the rebalancing, the messaging. So if there is some rebalance happening in my cluster, so in this case it will pass information about which node has particular URL, has data for particular keys. Does that make sense? It's just like it's a distributed database, kind of like a 101 type of thing.
It actually reminds me a little bit of the location transparency idea. It's the easiest way to find it is to use Akka on JVM because they were doing a similar thing for years, where you deploy your clustered actors, like you deploy a cluster of actors, and then they're distributed. But sometimes it may happen that your request, like get users, it goes to node A, but the actor responsible for storing the users for this particular request is on node, I don't know, B. And then instead of just trying to find this information on node A, which is clearly not possible, it instead asks the actor on node B, like, hey, can you give me the information so that I can forward it to the requester? And then the response goes to the requester. So
pretty much. So if you feel about this, it will take, if you have multiple instances, you have 10 instances, and it will take you time to interrogate each instance. No, it is not, because this metadata is already there because it's a part of the framework. Framework does this anyways, because Kafka Streams carry some additional information always on top of this the consumer group rebalancing protocol. And this metadata is already there. Why you would do this? In some situations, the people like me and some other event streaming zealots will tell you, oh, just process something and write back to Kafka, and after that you have a connector or you have something to read this from Kafka. But sometimes it's cumbersome, right? So that's why you want to have some sort of ability for your application, not only process this data, but also expose it, right? It makes sense in some situations. Like you want to build some API server. And why I want to use the gRPC? Because there's a opportunity to just generate a lot of stuff and rely on some high performance, the system or whatnot, right? The way how it works, let me see if I can actually run this locally without, yeah, it's localhost. So I would be able to run this on my localhost. So I'll just do SNFL local. This is one of the services destroy. So let's see if I have some old stuff I need to clean up. This, I think, live stream is services local destroy, maybe local destroy should work. No, yes, nothing to destroy. Okay, good. So our services say Kafka start.
I didn't know that you have a CLI.
Yeah, we do. Services, Kafka.
Is it some new thing, or I just missed something?
You missed something. It was for a while. Like the
Okay.
This Confluence CLI was solid 2 years. Yeah.
I mean, I'm using Docker directly, and usually I start my local development with test containers. But
right.
It's nice because
yeah. So another opportunity here would be talk about cloud and how cloud will help to simplify local development, but we will not go there just yet. Well, let's see if my local environment will work just fine. But for live streams situations like this, cloud is actually good thing to have.
And by the way, since it's gonna take some time to start Kafka, and since we're not doing Confluence stream, but we are doing our personal stream, I wanted to criticize Kafka Streams a little bit, if I may.
By all means.
This thing that you say that the reads they go to the same node that processes the data. This is okayish, but one of the reasons why I would always prefer SecureRes approach over Kafka Streams is because in SecureRes you can actually separate reads and writes, and not even writes but processing. Because imagine some heavy processing going on, and then you also have to serve requests. This does not scale well, I would say, because you're basically putting the load on the same node for both processing and the reads. I'm actually not sure. Can you replicate the state? Can you read from multiple nodes, not only for the one that is assigned?
Yeah, you can. So there's a ability to not in real time. So you can have standby replicas, but you cannot read from them. It's kind of like a break some of the
Okay. Okay.
consistency promises that Kafka Streams come
Mhm.
with. These.
But that's the problem. Like eventually you end up with processing nodes that would need to be beefy enough to process, but also serve reads. And then when I think about it, when you have to serve like tens of thousands of requests per second, then eventually these requests will be slowing down the processing.
Right.
Unlike in secure REST, where you can just drop your processor and continue reading from the view.
Exactly. So there's another approach that I actually showed this yesterday in my the workshop live stream that I did in the Confluent YouTube channel. So in that live stream, so what I did, what the hell? Kill Gradle, JPS grab Gradle, and watch how many Gradle demons I have. No Gradle demons? I don't believe. That's funny. And I do have a Eclipse launcher because I'm using VS Code. So let's do this one.
Now imagine all these hipsters who thought that they use VS Code instead of just Eclipse or
Yeah.
IntelliJ now realize that actually they are using Eclipse via VS Code as the
So
UI.
let's do this one. I remember. So there should
Mhm.
be something that I would be able to run multiple instances of this app. So for example, I would say.
We got a question like, do you have many cases when you really need to distribute partitions instead of having the full view on each node? I would even go like, yeah.
With
Maybe
Kafka Streams, with Kafka Streams, it's just kind of like not natural, but this is something that the framework does. If you want to have a full view of the topic on your node, you just run one node of your application. So in this case, all this task, if I understand the question correctly, in many cases you really need distributed partition instead of having full view on each node. Oh no, Kafka Streams can do that. There is a different type of object that you can use. There is a K table that I use. And there's a global K table that essentially has view of the on each node, replicated view on each node. And the cool thing about thanks for reminding this me, it's Imaskar Dono. Thanks for reminding this. I probably need to also investigate this or like show the global K table how it can be used as a. Say there's some cases where your application needs to have a reference data. Like product catalog, maybe product catalog it would be too big to fit this memory, but like just for the sake of example. Product catalog will include some of the additional information, and we can join this with the stream of some orders, right? So in this case, your global key table will be available across multiple nodes, and you can have another table that distributed. So there's a both. So what's the difference? Why I'm reading these questions where I can bubble them up in our. Let's do this one. Let's do two faces.
I completely forgot that we can actually
we can do
highlight
that.
the questions.
So can you tell the difference between web and RPC? So there's the web also somehow a web service and RPC. Web is also some form of RPC. Essentially, it's just like we people were, what's the word? Abused? Not abused, but we're abusing the web and building RPC on top of web, but we're not sending like documents back and forth. But essentially, for RPC, it's a style where you're implementing your inter-process communication in a style that your application will feel that something it will call will appear and look like a local call, but underlying framework will execute this somewhere on other side. Like if it's application that will connect to you have some service that needs to calculate the weather. There's a method called get current weather. And when your application calling that method, your application actually don't know if this weather method will execute locally. It would be some of the, or it will actually will do the call to some external system, deserialize requests and send things back or whatnot. Where is the web is more like you limit it to certain verbs that available in HTTP, and you're using those to kind of like you rather. Sorry, help me here. So you're using this to not only.
I guess what you're trying to say is that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess what you're trying to say is that HTTP REST is basically just a subset of RPC where you're limited to just n, where n is a number of verbs you're using in your protocol. So actually, you're not limited to just 7, this well-known 7 verbs like get, post, delete, and others. You can have many more, in fact, but yeah, it's a subset of RPC with some semantics like you should operate on resources, not just say what the application should do, but rather you always have this get, and then you have to figure out like, okay, I need to get something. Like I'm not just asking like give me this, but I'm getting something, or I'm not saying like create this thing, but rather I'm posting to some endpoint. Which means that and another thing is that like I have never seen a proper REST implementation. Every REST implementation I have seen, it was REST-ish. Like it was close. I mean, sometimes it was close, sometimes it was just a disaster, like RPC implemented on top of resource-based HTTP REST. But yeah, sometimes you just decide like, okay, I don't want to spend days figuring out how I should design my REST resource-based API, and instead I'll just go with RPC calls, and I want to be imperative. I want to say like do this, do that.
Okay, so I do have this. I'm trying to load this tool called Blossom RPC, so I can show how this service work. But for some reasons,
if you were using Armeria, you would do it from your browser.
That's next step. That's what I wanted to try to do. How we can does it integrate with like a Spring Boot and all this like cool stuff that we like to use? And that's great. I wanna try this next. So the Blossom RPC, did we show this previously, or we just used the console like command line tools and things like that?
We were struggling with command line tools. So go ahead and demonstrate this Blossom RPC or whatever the thing.
So what
I'm not even sure I know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, that's loading. So that's here. I want to import my proto a little quick here. So just how we can do it, add plus. So I'm not showing you this screen yet because it will be shown. We're going to Viktor. So I think one of the things that we need to do next time is not starting application during the stream. I think I just noticed that when I start some application, it actually causes huge spike on application performance. All right, so I do have this. You should be able to see my screen right now. So I do have this thing called the Blossom RPC. It's interrogated my proto and built this client. So what I can do here, and I can show you if I can build this store name. I think the store name was something orders, and I will go and show you once again. It's called orders store. So I would say store, and key will able to return some product based on the key. See, rustic raper shirt. whatever it means. If I would say 42, it will ergonomic aluminum knife. So that's my kind of like my small database. If I get all metadata, for example, this method that will return what kind of stores my application have, and which instances of my application hold this store. So if I will go here and say GM 6066, so I will start another instance that will join my Kafka Streams cluster. And I will try to, when the application will start, and I will try to execute this metadata. This metadata store also will return that my store is distributed across multiple nodes. It takes like a terribly long time because the Java is struggling, computer is struggling, everything is streaming, and hopefully we still have 10 people watching, meaning that we're not totally suck here. So we need to come up with some like a lightweight screen sharing between you and me, because I believe the screen sharing is actually eats a lot between when I'm streaming this and encoding this, and also I'm send this to you. So I believe there's something that's
or
that's
maybe,
happening.
just maybe, we shouldn't be streaming in 4K.
Who said that?
I don't know. I think it was my cat.
No, the streaming is less than 4K never was an option. The problem with it right now is hardware. Remember what was the name? The Tony Stark's fathers, Howard Stark, and Howard Stark said, "I'm limited by technology of my time." So we're limited.
But right now we are streaming not in 4K but in MK.
Okay, so let's see. We switch back. So application is my second application is here. I'm starting another instance of this application that will use different RPC port, gRPC port. And now I see here. So what happened? One of the instances of my application joined here. So if I would show you, before another application started, what happened here? I will show you something in the log real quick. So application right now in running state before I joined another application. So it has a running state, and I want to show you something with where is it? It should be here. It should be here in a second. So before my application, this instance of currently assigned active tasks. So all these tasks, because my topic has 6 partitions, all these tasks would be running inside this application. When I start another application, it went from where's the running state? There should be something like running into blah 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 blah. From partition assign, from rebalancing to running, but before that, even there should be state change from something to it's running. So where's the application start joined at active tasks, blah blah blah. Now, so this is where new application started, and compare with the previously owned partitions, and now these partitions were revoked and moved to another instance. Now this instance holds this data. And current suspended active tasks, so tasks that were serving these partitions were suspended because it's the Kafka consumer protocol. So you see there is a partition revoked to partition to assigned. They switched to this one. Now, currently, my application running with 3 tasks, and active task that previously was running on this application will move to another instance of application. So that's a very easy way how we can increase or parallelize some of the work that you're doing in processing some of the data. And this is the part of framework. It's pretty cool stuff. You don't need. I didn't write this stuff myself. So partition assigned, switch, blah blah blah, and now it's back to running. So if I will now interrogate my application state store, So what will show me that there's 2 instances now. So 2 stores will be storing into these 2 instances of application. Now, if I will go find the metadata for particular key, so in this case, I'm interested where is orders store, where this data for key 20 is served. It says instance 6565, but what about 21? It's already on 6566. So the way how it works is based on the key, it's just a Kafka producer protocol. Consistent hashing function will be applied for the key, so the key would be rebalanced and the load. So for example, this application would say, so now we learn that 21 stored on the 66, right? So, but my application server is 65. What's going to happen if I would go and get order for 21, but I'm hitting 65? I will get ergonomic bronze shirt. So the way what happened here is actually there was 2 hoops. One hoop, my application, this application server was my kind of like a proxy. I received this data, and after that, I returned this data through this system. Is it practical? Probably yes. Is it something that's maybe like super high performant? Probably yes. It really will be depend on what kind of load that we will trying to push it through. For example, you can say, but Viktor, like there's like multiple steps of serialization, deserialization, but you can put all these nodes behind the load balancer, for example, or some sort of like a balancer that understands RPC protocol, for example, right? So it really doesn't matter if it hit 66, and it should return really quick. Come on, call. See, it's 44 milliseconds, and if I'll do 65, it definitely has a little bit more load because it needs to, go from one server to another. I'm talking about this one. In the, like, if you see my screen. So that's RPC.
Wait, 87 millis?
It is
87 millis?
Yeah, it's 87 millisecond, and it's because computer is totally trashed. So
yeah, must be.
Yeah, because it's not realistic numbers for this. That's the idea. That's the idea of my of this service that I wanted to show you today, and this is what we were working with for live streams. I will upload this code into my live stream channel. And I will show you, we should do podcast instead. But the sound was really good. Yeah, probably we should do podcast. But that's the idea. I will upload this to somewhere like Sergei. You can also play around with this and see like if I'm doing something stupid. But that's the thing. The way how it worked, actually did a live stream where I failed miserably trying to set this up, and after that I went to, as always, the Liklus repository, see how the gRPC was configured there, and I found that I missed like some of the important bits of configuring the gRPC plugins. Yeah. For example, like plugins for gRPC, because my protobuf was generating some podges, but it will not generate my services stubs and things like that. And I found that building the gRPC stuff is relatively easy, but I believe this is the route where you can go with the huge problems in future. Like easy.
What do you mean?
Because like I easy can add more services, and this my proto file will be trashed in a very by very different like definitions, like very quickly, if I need to add some of the new configurations and things like that, new services and things like that. Also, I couldn't find how to do how to get the Java set stored as a part of the the Pojo that this will generate. Another thing.
But you don't. I mean, from the protocol point of view, set makes no sense because, like, you will return some order at least, no matter what, on the wire. And then it's up to you how to form it.
Okay.
Like you can use
So I
set.
can get so yeah, because the reason why I'm asking about this, because in my method I'm expecting this kind of like I need to this like store names directly, but now I can just simply do pre-processing and make sure that the list that I receive is actually don't have any duplicates. That's it. So I found this very easy to do. So once I implement these plugins correctly, just putting the services implementation is very easy here. So for example, that's my order method that takes basically all these things. And the good thing is that since I'm using gRPC, I'm getting this reactive stuff for free. So that's why I don't worry much about like if my services.
Not gRPC, but Reactor gRPC. Be careful here because our gRPC
But
itself,
what about this one,
it
like
does not support.
observer and blah blah blah?
First of all, are you using just gRPC or Reactor gRPC? Just
I have no idea.
Okay, but this one, I mean,
I use. You know what? There was a starter. It's called something Spring Boot
gRPC
starter.
Spring Boot starter. Yeah.
From Lognet.
30. Yeah. Okay, but this one is just gRPC. Then yes, you get an asynchronous interface. I would not call it reactive, frankly speaking.
Okay. So,
but it's close. It's close.
So
and
essentially,
you can implement reactive on top.
So we get the asynchronous. I apologize for poor choice of words, but I'm getting this asynchronous interface. So we can improve that. I think in the next couple minutes we'll try at least like get the basic direction where we go with RPC. So like why I need to use RSocket here, and like where would be benefits on switching from this style of programming back to the RSocket or maybe something else. Like what this is missing in where I can benefit to use RSocket.
Oh. First of all, I mean, from this code, I would just say like you should rather go with blocking style because every code you have here is blocking, so you don't really need to use observers here. It only makes the whole thing harder. So there should be a standard interface generated by protobuf gRPC. So I guess here using. So can you scroll up a little?
Yep.
From the interacting query implement base. I'm actually. So you're not using streaming, right?
No.
Are you?
As you can see in my IPs, it's just like just regular UNARI calls.
Yeah.
And I don't need
now
to use streaming here, at least because there's no need for me get, for example, updated version.
Yeah, you have no use for it here. Yeah, so I'm surprised because usually you get a very simple definition, or maybe I got used to it, but usually you can just return from this, or maybe, yeah, I've been using Reactor and Reactive for so many years, so I think it just, I don't remember how it's done anymore.
Yeah, see, all this methods like a unary method calls. Okay. Yeah, so.
Then clearly we will benefit from using RSocket RPC at least because it will make the code cleaner. But we would also get almost the same code with Reactor RPC, Reactor gRPC. So actually, a middle step would be to migrate to Reactor gRPC so that we can clean up the code, and then the essential next step would be to just replace it with RSocket RPC. You had a question, why would
we go in, so it's kind of like, let's put this into my README doc for agenda, like the next steps. And I think I can kind of like research this myself a little bit and maybe play around on another channel and show the people whatever I have built. And after that, you can criticize me here because no one is actually watching this except Artyom, Otto, and Raspergu, who are friends from other live streams. And thanks so much for folks for your support and joining every week. So next step, we migrate to Reactor gRPC, right?
Yeah.
And interesting, like I think before I can do that, and this is where I need to also drop off very soon. So testing, like should I write test before? Like I should
Of course.
implement.
I mean,
tests.
you didn't?
I didn't because I didn't have
Okay.
time.
I'm out. Okay, I don't want to do streams with you anymore. Okay,
So
I'm just kidding, of course. But
testing. So in this case, maybe test containers for Kafka
once
Streams.
again, maybe
Because I do have, I
Viktor,
think.
we need to talk.
No. I do have a test. So, but I use the topology test driver to test my topology, essentially for to make sure my Kafka Streams part works. So that is good. I not 100% like useless. Not the useless. What the word? The I'm still the good guy. Now test containers for Kafka Streams plus Kafka. Next thing, I don't know how to do tests with gRPC, RPC, and Spring Boot probably. Like gRPC, Spring Boot.
So it looks like before we migrate to RSocket RPC, we need to do some homework and improve the current state, like add some tests and stuff like this.
Yeah. So the test containers in Kafka Streams part, this is something that I can do. Myself. I will take some pointers on gRPC Spring Boot testing and how probably it will kind of like also would be a layer on top of this once the basic testing environment for test containers will be here because the application will not work without the Kafka. If we're talking about integration, folks, we're talking about integration testing because unit testing I already get discovered. So we're talking about integration testing or like a mocking integration testing if we will be doing this type of stuff, right? That also probably I need to have some good examples that shows the Kafka Streams and the test containers because I don't think we do, right? I don't think we do have a good examples. We do have example like how we use producer consumer and this kind of like a Waitify library and things like that.
But wait, tell me, because like I never bothered adding Kafka Streams examples or any other Kafka something example because I know that in Kafka it's fairly easy. Like as long as you have the Bootstrap servers string, you're good, and then it's only a matter of setting this Bootstrap string parameter. But yeah, is there anything else that needs to be provided for Kafka Streams?
Only like specific configuration, like application ID and these kind of things. But it's question not about infrastructure, question about how to validate this, right? So, for example, like I would love to see maybe I need to kind of write, or there's another guy named Ivan Ponomarev who also likes this type of jazz. Maybe like we need to implement something like this topology test driver like API, but this API would call actual classes that will help to drive the. For example, there's a very nice method that allows me to simply produce. I can say, hey, there's a key serializer, deserializer, and underneath there will be producer. But it actually will not be producer because topology test driver doesn't do anything. Now, with this, so essentially there's API is there. I just need to kind of like replicate this and implement with actual Kafka, not topology test driver or like a test container driver or something like that. That will do the same, but will run actual things. So in this case, the API for testing would be relatively simple. Here's the thing about here. So like when I do this get key value stored, it doesn't have any delays, so there would be no latency between calls. So that is essential.
Yep.
And essential in the sense that because there's no like underlying stores that happen here. So everything is actually very synchronous and very much it's just going as is. So yeah, we do have a lot of things we can cover here. So let's put some of the pointers where we will explore in future. So gRPC Spring Boot, this is something that I need to explore. Next thing, we're migrating to Reactor gRPC, and after that, migrate to RSocket gRPC. And you have 2 minutes to convince me why we need to do this. And after that, we will drop off and we will get back next week with the, trying to hack around with this.
Well, you don't. Like if you're good with gRPC, you can continue using gRPC. But sometimes people discover that the gRPC is too limited to their use cases. Like it's basically just a layer on top of HTTP2. And sometimes people want to use WebSockets to communicate. Sometimes people have some special requirements, or maybe they want to get the most out of their application, like the most performance. Then they would go with something as close to TCP as possible. Because gRPC runs on top of HTTP2, and then HTTP2 runs on top of TCP, plus also some modes like bidirectional streaming. I'm not sure whether gRPC supports. I think it does, but server-side push, for example, is not supported by gRPC. It's only supported by RSocket. Not sure if it applies to Kafka Streams applications, but overall,
I think
it's just nice to know that
we can come up with some use case that can help. And
Okay,
also,
nice.
I remember that that stuff that I was doing with KSQLDB in reactive client for KSQLDB. I think there's an opportunity for because this is exactly where you can use server-side push. Like if you want to implement kind of like a client, like a mobile client, maybe that will connect to this we're still dancing around this concept of gateways versus proxies, right? Because the proxy is a kind of like a simple way, but gateway gives you a lot of other flexibilities. And like server-side push and all these kind of things, it's also part of proxy thing, in my opinion. So that's something that we can definitely explore. And also, like I just don't want to like just leave it like this. But folks, if you watch this in the recording or have some other comments, I think it's great that we have like this the live stream, the channel where we can experiment on some technology. Today, we had, in my opinion, we have a moderate success, not a huge success, but moderate success. We found the problems along the way, which is good. I think right now is what I can see in my I'm monitoring stream from my iPad, for example, and I see the pictures looks great and there's no delay and works fine. Well, just bear with us. We will come up with some great solution for streaming, and we get back. The problem not with streaming. Problem with not streaming. Problem with the live coding and having this experience not only not painful for watchers, but also for people who participating in this live stream. So that's the goal. I extremely grateful that Sergei is spending some time with me and with you in talking about some reactive things and some of the cool frameworks. And I want to say thanks to him. We waiting for more news on the side of test containers and ARM processors and all this kind of stuff because he already hinted some of the cool things in Twitter. Go follow him on Twitter. His Twitter is down below somewhere. You